For those of us who spend more time in the supermarket than on a farm, a plant like this one might look rather obscure. But inside the soil is a familiar beginning to many mouth-watering meals and processed foods. Yet despite garlic being one of the easiest and perhaps most gratifying foods to grow, 75% of all of the garlic produced in the world is grown in China. I'm John Steinman. Join me for the next half hour as we deconstruct your dinner. Today, we deconstruct garlic. New York City, a place where food culture is defined by the diversity of people who call this city home. This holds true in cities across the United States, and Gramercy Tavern is one symbol of how this country's cultural roots have helped shape American cuisine. For Chef Michael Anthony, his Italian heritage and experience working abroad makes this restaurant quintessentially American.
Most chefs spend their lives preoccupied with food. I think it's important that we recognize in this kitchen that it is first about people. You know, people who live in cities like New York City, a large majority of them come from other places. And people talk about where their hometown is and the fact that they have foods that are distinctive from those places and in some ways define them as people. It's what we ultimately try to do here, is to recreate these food memories, make them specific to this place through the choice of ingredients and through the particular time of year.
Like many chefs, Michael's training was focused mostly on technique. But as he matured as a chef, the ingredients began to inspire his approach, particularly garlic. Both here in his restaurant and nearby at his home, Michael maintains a personal connection to this pungent food, and he invites me to share a garlic-inspired meal. So Mike, why garlic? Why is garlic such an important ingredient for you?
Well, this is a particular variety of garlic that I found in my own family's garden. And after looking high and low for distinctive varieties of plants and vegetables to serve in the restaurant, I realized one of the best examples was right there in my family's garden all along. My great-grandfather who brought this variety of garlic with him to the States when he immigrated here. It's probably the only thing he brought with him. And ultimately, it's been in my family's gardens, uncrossed, grown all these years.
For Michael Anthony, this family heirloom is saved and replanted every year in upstate New York. At home, it becomes a versatile ingredient for garlic confit, garlic puree, or this fresh garlic seafood chowder. But eating local garlic with such a personal story is quite uncommon. It turns out nearly half of the garlic consumed in North America is imported from China. And of the garlic that is grown here, 91% is grown in California by only 4 companies. I traveled to the city of Gilroy, which calls itself the garlic capital of the world. Located here is the largest garlic producer on the continent, and even they have felt the impact of imported garlic.
My dad, Don Christopher, started Christopher Ranch back in 1956 and just started growing a few acres of garlic in 1957 and figured out that you can't just grow garlic, you need to grow it and pack it and sell it in order to make any money. We're the largest grower in California and the United States. 70 million pounds. We probably grow 45% of all the garlic in California, but there's billions of pounds that are grown over in China. Spain grows quite a bit of garlic, Argentina, Mexico, but China basically rules the market for garlic. In the last 20 years, the industry's narrowed down and only the strong have survived because of the Chinese garlic coming in. They brought garlic over here at prices less than what they actually cost for them to grow. So if we were selling garlic for, say, $30 a box, they were bringing in garlic for $7 or $8 a box. That's how they gained market share.
In 2003, when Chinese garlic was flooding the U.S. market and driving prices down, even Christopher Ranch began temporarily importing garlic from China. This scenario is not uncommon in the food system. The more centralized the production of a food, the lower the prices on the grocery store shelf. For us eaters, that appears like a positive outcome. But using garlic as an example, how does our support of this system impact local economies and local food culture? In Minneapolis, economist Ken Meter has spent over 40 years examining these questions. According to Ken, in many regions throughout North America, over 90% of our food expenditures leaves our local economies.
One of the tragedies of the current food system is that it's really been very efficient at taking wealth out of our communities, and it's also separated producers from consumers. This is a garlic clove that came from Wisconsin. Why do I buy that instead of buying from China? It's irrational, some economists would say. And the reason I do that is basically that I want, in this case, I'm buying from someone I know. I know the farmer who planted this. I know their farm, and I want to say my food dollar is an investment in keeping that farm viable so that I can buy food from them again. Yes, it's cheaper from California, it's cheaper from China, but if I spend that money, my neighbor is losing resources.
The importing of food and exporting of wealth is also inextricably linked to food culture. By choosing imported food over local options, we're denying ourselves a culture of food that's unique to us. Just outside of Toronto, Ontario, author Liz Primeau sees garlic as a tool for cultivating culture.
Culturally speaking, food is very important. When people sit down to eat dinner, a lot of things play a role in that, and garlic is one of them. Back in 2000, I became very unhappy with garlic. I'd go to the supermarket, and what I'd find there were these little teeny bulbs, about yay big. Some of the cloves were crumbling. I'd separate them, and I'd find there were a few fairly nice sized ones around the outside, but inside, these cloves were so tiny that they weren't even worth peeling. So I decided to boycott that garlic. But of course, then I had to find another source. So that's when I started to go to the garlic festivals and, to farmers markets.
For Liz Primeau, it was the poor quality and poor flavor of imported garlic that compelled her to begin to support local producers and local events. And it was on this journey when she also discovered that garlic is currently undergoing a cultural renaissance among eaters and farmers.
You get people going to farmers markets and asking for certain types of garlic, not just going and choosing the white garlic that's there. They want to know if the farmer is growing a rocambole or a porcelain. So they're becoming a little bit more discriminating. And people want to know where their food's coming from. They don't want to buy garlic from China or somewhere else. They want garlic that's been grown locally, and they're suddenly very interested, and you can see this happening. I see it increasing every year with more and more garlic festivals.
A lot of farmers are finding they can make quite a bit of money on an acre of land planting garlic for local uses. A lot of restaurants are finding they can make much more flavorful meals by having fresher garlic or a certain heritage variety. And we have to build the protection around those forms of exchange that allow that to be economical, that allow that to be rewarding for farmers.
For Ken Meter and Liz Primeau, their passion for buying garlic also introduced them to the art of growing their own. Across North America, garlic is one of the easiest and most valuable foods to cultivate.
Actually, it was a revelation to me to discover, well, in fact, garlic goes really well in Minnesota. Now I'm at the point I'm producing it in my own garden. And so a garlic bulb that I got from some friends last year has become several more garlic bulbs, which I can now plant again. And it's really a very easy crop to raise. So there's absolutely no reason not to be growing garlic for local use here.
We've now seen how an examination of garlic can teach us a lot about our relationship to food, how we can cultivate local food culture, and how to keep our food dollars in our local economies. When we return, we visit with people who are demonstrating just how easy it is to grow and process this food and move beyond our reliance on imported garlic. Walking through any grocery store or market, we're presented with the opportunity to shape the world we live in. Garlic, as an example, has been shaping the culture of food for millennia. And today, it can offer us an easy way to design our ideal food system, whether it's purchasing garlic from a store or growing it on our own. Located in the Slocan Valley of British Columbia, Eva Schindler and Stefan Himmer produce much of the food they eat in their backyard garden, including all of the garlic they use throughout the entire year.
Garlic's important because it's such a strong flavor. I mean, it's a recognizable flavor, and it's useful flavor. I guess it's one of those flavors if you either like it or you don't like it. If you do like it, it's such a great base for a dish.
Last year we planted around 600 bulbs, and the cloves I plant about 6 inches apart within a row, and then we cover it in straw. And the following spring, just ensure that it's watered and fertilized sufficiently.
For most backyard food gardeners, harvesting garlic happens twice. In the spring, when the stems of the garlic flower, or scapes, are ready, and in the summer, to harvest the bulbs. For Eva and Stefan, this abundance inspires them to pickle the scapes and preserve them in jars, or to dry the cloves in the sun to make an easy-to-use seasoning for meals, powder, or chunks. And in its whole form, garlic stores really well.
I think you can expect to store garlic for about 10 or 12 months. Sometimes you'll be lucky enough to sort of be using the last of your garlic as the new stuff is being harvested and dried.
Growing, storing, and preserving garlic at home is a pretty easy activity and results in a bounty of flavor for the coming year. Another great way to load up on garlic and support our local economy is at garlic festivals across North America. At the Hills Garlic Festival in New Denver, British Columbia, over 25 farmers join musicians, food vendors, and thousands of people there to stock their pantries. In Toronto, another event takes place, celebrating this valuable food.
For the farmers here at the festival, it's actually becoming increasingly important for them, especially small-scale farmers.
We grow many crops, but garlic for us is probably our most significant flagship crop, I could say. And it is important to be under one roof with other growers. By having an event that's garlic-centered, we're bringing in the consumers to talk to them about what's the difference between an organic garlic and a conventional garlic and a local garlic versus any kind of an imported garlic.
A garlic festival like this one just came about a year ago, and it impacted my business big time. I got a bulk order of 200 pounds today, which is translated to me about $2,000. And I found them because of this garlic festival. So it helps my bottom line to grow.
Large-scale factory farming practices of garlic outside of Canada impacts small farmers like myself in many ways. It decreases the price point that consumers are used to paying for. Therefore, we don't get a fair price for what our costs are here in Canada.
Garlic is one of the most economically important crops for small-scale farmers. And here, just outside Toronto, in the town of Cobourg, are 2 farmers who are growing food in their front yard and building a business out of it. Garlic is a favorite crop.
Victory Garden Vegetables is the name of our urban farm business here in Cobourg. The whole property is 1/3 of an acre. We set up a garden space that's about 2,500 square feet, which is just a fraction of that. And there are people doing this all over North America now. It's become quite popular. People, especially in larger cities, we grow about $500 worth of produce every week on this 2,500 square foot garden plot.
We promote the 1 mile diet, so we're less than a mile away from the market still, which is really awesome. I would encourage people to try fresh garlic from the farmer's market and try different varieties.
There's so many different kinds to grow. You can market it well, you can braid it, and it really piques the interest of people, especially at the farmer's market.
I think once you try that, you can't go back to buying garlic at the grocery store that's from China and possibly years old already.
Ooh, that one's pretty big. Oh, it smells amazing.
We use garlic pretty much every day. Like most things that I cook start out with garlic.
The surging popularity of garlic festivals across North America is a sign of the potential for garlic to be that one food that we can all get behind in some way. We can grow it, we can use it to support our local farmers, our local economies, and garlic can connect us to our communities and to each other, like here at a farmer's market. When we return, we travel back to New York City with Chef Michael Anthony, who's prepared that impressive garlic seafood chowder. Michael will also show us how to get creative with garlic in the kitchen. How's it going, guys?
Good, thanks.
How much for your garlic?
$3 a bunch.
$3? That's great.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you soon. Of all the garlic consumed in the world, 75% of it is grown in China, leaving us pretty disconnected from the foundation of many good meals. Here at New York City's Gramercy Tavern, Chef Michael Anthony uses the same garlic his family has used for generations. And this close relationship which Michael has to his ingredients here at work, he also has at home, where his daughters are a source of inspiration. So Michael, we're now here in your kitchen at home. How do you take your restaurant philosophy that you practice at the Gramercy Tavern and bring it here into your kitchen?
Well, I principally shop at the green market, and I tend to favor local ingredients as long as I know that they're grown responsibly by people that I know, rather than searching for an organic label to create a sense of satisfaction.
What about garlic? Does garlic offer any particular source of inspiration to you when you're cooking in the kitchen?
My family's of Italian American origin, and I went to my uncle and I asked him some specific questions about the garlic that he grows every year in his garden. And as it turned out, he has never purchased garlic seed. He only grows the garlic that was passed on from my grandfather's father, my great-grandfather, who came as an immigrant to the States in the early turn of the last century with a huge wave of immigration from southern Italy. Very poor people, and that was one of the few things that he probably brought with him was the seed. So I very respectfully went and asked my great-uncle if he would allow me to try to grow out that garlic through a professional grower, someone that I had gotten to know through the restaurant, a passionate grower and a walking encyclopedia of information, and that's how the story began with Jim Wrobel.
Heading north of the city, Michael and I travel to Roble Farms. This is Michael's first visit to witness his family's heirloom garlic, still growing in the ground.
Heard a lot about you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Mike, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Roble Farms started right here in this location about 1940 when my father moved down from the hills behind the house here. Our philosophy here is to have sustainable foods that are good for the environment, for all the people that are going to eat them. They have to be delicious, or why bother? They have to be nutritious, or else we're not really in the right business.
What was it in particular that made you want to grow Mike's garlic and his heirloom family garlic?
I was already growing someone else's family garlic, and I just love the notion of keeping somebody's family heritage alive. And the thought that I might be able to help him in his mission, in a way, it really appealed to me. These scapes, you're not going to get truly commercial garlic scapes, because this is something that's more of the small grower. But this is just loaded. If you can see this is just loaded with garlic juice and with garlic oils. This can all be chopped up and used in saute. Mike does all sorts of different things with it.
And then, of course, under the ground, we have the bulb. Are these ready here to be pulled up and used?
Yes, they're approaching their full maturity, but I think it's time to take a look and see exactly how mature they are.
It looks great, Jim. Look at the...
Yeah, it does look nice. It's very, very close to harvest time.
And where else, Mike, have you pulled this garlic out?
From my dad's garden and my uncle's garden. So I've seen it come up before, but never from Jim's farm. This is a first. Look at that, beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Nice job.
Thanks.
The richness of this relationship between farmer and chef is most likely to translate into whatever meal this garlic will end up in. But at face value, how does this heirloom garlic grown close to home compare to what's often found at the supermarket? The three of us sit down to find out.
Well, guys, we just pulled out this beautiful garlic here from the farm, but realistically, most of the garlic available here in North America is coming from overseas. It often looks like garlic like this, which we've just picked up from a grocery store here in the area. Mike, what are you seeing from a chef's perspective?
Well, you can see the dryness kind of even on the outer leaves and very small cloves, some discoloration.
Well, Chef, maybe you could have the honors and cut a few slices for the three of us. Thanks, Mike.
I get a lot of heat, but not a lot of substance. There's not a lot of depth to, there's no variation of flavors. You just get something, and it's gone already. I have a little sense of maybe something around the outside of my tongue, but other than that, it's completely gone. But now, if we have one of these others, if I can cut one of those, I think we'll see a difference. When this is cured, this is really the cook's dream. It is big, it's flavorful, and it's very easy to handle.
The clove has a ton of moisture. It's
Thank you.
vibrant, and I mean, just looking at the cross section of it, it's beautiful. You can see the cell structure intact, and this leaves my fingers feeling sticky from the
immediately sticky.
The vegetable water that's left in there, and in a second you put it on your tongue, there's an immediate, not that fiery rush that we got with the other garlic, but it's almost a sweetness. It's a kind of the same sensation as a piece of fruit.
If an individual wanted to go out and buy all of this garlic at once and start using it in the kitchen, Mike, what would you recommend we start doing?
There are endless number of preparations that we could do, but I'd be happy to show you a few. Let's go back to my place and we'll do some cooking.
Back at the home of Chef Michael Anthony, garlic is prepared in many ways as a meal enhancer. Michael shows me the art of making garlic confit and garlic puree. Right now, he's preparing a fantastic-looking chowder with local seafood.
This is the green garlic chowder with snapper, oysters, shrimp, and calamari. The star is the garlic, which has found its way in the form of the garlic puree, which I use to thicken the broth. The garlic scapes, which were made into this green puree, which gave it color and a little bit of herbal, along with a sweet garlic flavor. And then the garlic confit found its way at the very end of this dish, right on top, as just a great soft textural component.
Beautiful color.
Yeah, let's give it a taste.
In this meal is the history of the Anthony family. It's a story that's communicated by the aroma that fills the kitchen and the flavors in this bowl. Cultivating a relationship like this is one we can all begin on our own with any food. And when we invite our sense of taste to guide us every day, we inevitably are supporting culturally vibrant and economically healthy communities. Go online to learn more about garlic, including step-by-step instruction on how to prepare garlic-inspired meals.
A visit to a neighboring farm ultimately is one of the most rewarding experiences that you can have. And whether you're sharing that with your kids or restaurant staff, I think what it comes down to is we're all searching for this connection, finding a reconnection to the world around us.
Even though I pay much more for this bulb of garlic, I'm spending that money in a way that I get more flavor of the garlic. I get a relationship with the grower that I like and know. I get a sense that I'm contributing to my local economy. I get a sense that I'm having a little healthier product to eat. And I get all those things by buying one bulb of garlic that I would not have gotten by buying from China.
My suggestion to people would be to start growing even a handful of cloves, plant a handful of cloves and see how it progresses.
If you want to grow your own garlic, all you really have to do is get your soil ready, which means that you'd like to have a well-drained soil that's well-tilled. You'd like to have some good organic matter in there, and then put the garlic in about 2 inches or so deep with the root stem down. You put it in that way, and then you can walk away. That's about all there is to it.
We feel strongly about garlic because it gives us so much. It gives us flavor. It gives us aroma. The smell of garlic and onions cooking together is one of the most, mouth-watering smells you will ever come across. And that does something. That's dinner.